Well, hey guys, how are you? Welcome to the weekend. I do apologize. I apologize for the late start. It's like 6 o'clock. I've been on the road, and I'm in receipt of your many notes, wondering about the dog and the podcast, and everything is fine. It's just been busy. Flight delays, tornadoes, Wichita, Dallas. Speak of the devil, hang on a moment. Many of you have expressed great concern about the whereabouts of Mr. Fred. He is fine. He's just taking a little hiatus regarding his Friday observations and missives, but he is well. Miss me? Says he misses me. I don't know. He still pees on me when I come home, which is a good sign. And I should have been rolling earlier. The boy has a tongue on him. He's got a tongue. I mean, it's this long. I saw him put a tongue in a champagne glass once, sitting from a posture just like this. If this were the glass, and it's just straight to the bottom. It's very, very impressive. And he did it earlier with the beer. He won't do it now because as he gets old, he's gotten camera shy. You want to stick around for the story? You couldn't care less, could you? Wait over here. This one I wrote couple months ago. It's called The Lady Calls the Shots. I thought I'd read it to you now. It's a love story. A love story. What with all the trouble in the world? How about a quick little love story? Maybe you'll like it. I hope you do. If you do, MikeRowe.com/podcast to subscribe. Here it is. Freddie, no. Idiot. All right, here we go. Frank was good with a gun, really good. As the star of a vaudeville act called America's Own Rifle Team and champion all-around shots, his preferred targets included spinning plates, clay pigeons, and various other inanimate objects. Phoebe was also good with a gun. As the person most responsible for keeping her family fed, her typical targets included rabbit, squirrel, and quail, though she refused to shoot animals while they were standing still. Phoebe thought it was more sporting to pull the trigger when her targets were running or flying away. One day, Frank's traveling show came to Cincinnati. After wowing the crowds with a dazzling display of trick shots and extraordinary marksmanship, Frank proudly proclaimed to all assembled that he was the very best sharpshooter alive, and bet $100 that no one in the county could prove him wrong. When the crowd pooled their resources and sent forth the champion, it was not the typical adversary to which Frank had become accustomed. His opponent was a little girl, maybe 5 feet tall and barely 100 pounds. She wore a skirt and knickerbockers and carried a rifle as big as she was. For a moment, Frank was overcome with guilt. These were simple country people wagering their hard-earned money on a little girl 10 years his junior. What chance did she have? He was the best marksman in the country, undefeated, and according to his own prognostications, unbeatable. But a few moments later, Frank's guilt was replaced with wonder. In the best of 25 targets, Phoebe went 5 for 5, right out of the gate. Frank was surprised, but followed suit. Then Phoebe went 10 for 10. Frank was impressed, but still kept pace. Then 15 for 15. Who was this girl? Phoebe laughed and chatted while she shot, amusing the crowd like a seasoned performer. The two stayed deadlocked until the very last target. Frank missed. Phoebe didn't. And that was that. Frank had been bested for the first time ever by a girl. Frank handled the humiliation the only way he could. He married the 16-year-old sharpshooter, which in 1875 was not nearly as icky as it sounds today, and took her on the road with him. Phoebe Moses became Phoebe Butler, and Frank's little shooting act got a whole lot more interesting. The first night, he called Phoebe out of the audience and told her to hold a single plate in each outstretched arm. Frank then shot the plates out of her hands to enthusiastic applause. But then, to the wonderment of the crowd, Frank handed his rifle to Phoebe and invited her to shoot the plates out of his hands, which she did. She also shot holes in playing cards that Frank threw into the air. She shot cigarettes out of Frank's mouth, sometimes with her back to him, using a mirror to aim over her shoulder. Among those impressed by their showmanship was the legendary Bill Cody, and before long, Frank and Phoebe were featured players in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. Now, if you've seen Irving Berlin's famous musical about Frank and Phoebe's incredible life, you know what happens next. Frank and Phoebe become Phoebe and Frank. As his wife's popularity slowly eclipses his own, Frank becomes insecure and resentful, and their relationship becomes strained. Not exactly a plot twist. Really, the American West wasn't synonymous with gender equality, and the 19th century American male was unaccustomed to second billing. So the tension that resulted from Phoebe's fame and Frank's subsequent insecurity was entirely plausible, except it didn't happen that way. The truth is, Frank did not mope about his fading celebrity one bit. In fact, he gladly assumed the position of Phoebe's onstage assistant and personal business manager. He may have been a brash and opportunistic showman, but he was also utterly smitten with his young bride, and by all accounts, stayed that way during their long and happy life together. Indeed, when his beloved Phoebe died after 50 years of marriage, and millions mourned the most famous woman of the American West, Frank mourned in a way that was never addressed in the Broadway show or the film adaptation of their lives. Frank simply stopped eating and joined Phoebe in eternity 18 days later. Point is, many men have achieved greatness thanks to the women who have stood behind them. But once upon a time, back when the West was wild and a wife stayed in the shadows, one man was secure enough to step aside and let the spotlight fall on Phoebe Moses, a poor country girl who could outshoot the best of the best, and the girl we remember today as the one and only Annie Oakley. Anyway, that's the way I heard it. It's a love story. That one, if you know who Annie Oakley is, you probably figured it out halfway through. If you didn't, maybe you're saying, I never heard of Annie Oakley. But the thing that I never really thought about was the love story. 50 years, and then you stop eating? I'm not recommending you stop eating, when the love of your life moves on. I'm just saying. It's a way to go. I got shows coming up. On the 23rd, 24th, and 29th in New York, Baltimore, and Chicago, respectively. A Dirty Talk with Mike. If that sounds intriguing, get yourself a ticket at Ticketmaster. I won't be reading stories on stage. No, I'll be doing something else. Fred? Where are you, bud? Freddie? All right, he's gone. Enjoying the weekend, no doubt. I hope you will as well. See you, bye.